Greetings, what's happening? This is Stacy Patrice here with a new installment. I had a very interesting situation happen this morning, and I wanted to immediately get on here and vlog about it because I just feel like this is a theme that I've been hearing and I've been seeing, and I really want people to feel that when they're going through an experience, if it is related to love, that they have someone who speaks their same language. And this is truly why I do these videos, is to assure people that your language is being spoken by someone, maybe not the people you're around, maybe not the people you've attracted, but that you have the option to be able to attract new life into your space by finding a way to vibrate on love at a higher level. And so today's topic is about cautionary love. Cautionary love. So, as it sounds, it's just as simple as someone saying, I will love fully, wholly, completely, but with caution. And as we know, there's no such thing, or there should not be a such thing. And the reason I say this is because love is a complete experience. It is not just an emotion. It is not just a thought. It is not just a verb. It is a state of being. And if we can tap into more of that state of being, it tends to transform our lives. I'm not fully there. I'm not even close. I believe this is a lifelong quest to stand in love, to be able to look at love in the face in every form that it shows up in, and be able to find a way to say full out, hey, this is an opportunity for me to feel something different. This is an opportunity for me to engage on a different level, and just find a way to encompass everything in my experience so that I am not just loving certain things or certain conditions or certain people. And so for today, the incident that happened this morning, I'm headed out to yoga. I'm about to go outdoors and do a powerful session, get some nice stretching in, look up at the sky and the birds and the trees and just feel grounded and feel one. The main thing that I noticed was that there's someone that I know who's very close to me, who I've known for quite some time, who tends to only love with caution. And me being around this person at different points in my life, I have also picked up this habit of loving with caution. So this is not a you guys type of situation. When I'm talking to you, I'm always talking to me. So just to make that clear. And what I realized is that the consciousness of that habit is very, very, very far from the actual doing of that habit. It's somewhere in the recesses of our mind that we should love with caution, that love hurts, that love is not for everyone, that you can't love everyone. It's not smart. Don't be naive. Don't give all of yourself. You don't have enough to give. Only look at yourself. And I agree with some of those things in different contexts, in a different context. So yes, you only have so much love to give if you're doing the work with yourself first. In other words, don't give love to someone else in hopes that they can return the love to you that only you can give to yourself. If you are constantly showering love on someone and giving that person love in the hopes that they somehow can complete your love experience, then that is a context that doesn't really compute. If you are hoping to give your love to someone in an expectation that they give you the exact same thing back. You know that saying that everyone says, love people how you'd like to be loved. That just means that you're creating this seed. You're creating the seed and putting it in the soil. You're treating people how you want to be loved. It doesn't mean that everyone you love is going to treat you back the way you need to be loved. And that is the misconception, is that it's somehow this immediate gratification thing. It's that, oh, well, I always give her gifts and I always do this and I always do that. And then that person automatically say, well, because you give me gifts, I always do that to you and I always do this to you. That is more the tit for tat type of love that we don't really notice, but it's not really complete. It's actually not complete. It's not actually what you're looking for when you're doing that. You're looking for completeness. So why do it tit for tat? Because it always keeps you having to do something for someone in order for them to express it back to you. They never get the true expression of what would I do when I'm being loving, or how would I be loving to this person in my own way. It only becomes this very stale type of mirror, and you only get to see yourself in that one way. So what I've noticed, and this is just really key for me, is that having the patience and the faith to know that love is everywhere, to know that love is this pool, this abyss, if you will, of wonderment, to know that you being able to step into this pool really does not only count on how much you want it or how much you're interested or intrigued by it, but how much of the work have you done to know how to swim in the abyss? How much practice have you had? How much training have you had swimming in the abyss? If you treat all of your love relationships like they are just, oh, this is just a passing thing, I'm only in this to get that. If you do this, then how is it that you ever get to the point where you can fully take in the breath capacity to swim underwater for that long? How is it that you will ever be able to do that? You have to train your breath. And I'm using a metaphor here. You have to train yourself. You have to, get accustomed to what lurks in that water. Are you going to fly out of the water as soon as you see a sea creature that you're not familiar with? Are you going to let a shark roll up on you and bite you? No, hopefully. And you can't be blinded by love, but you also cannot be guarded with love. So the idea is do everything you can do. Have all of your equipment, have your apparatus, have the knowing, have the willingness to go and step into this abyss of love. But also, instead of caution, what you really want is discernment. You really want discernment. And discernment a lot of times comes from a place of education. You can't really get discernment all the time if you haven't had the training or the education that shows you what discernment, how discernment is useful. So a lot of people think caution is the useful tool, and they say, oh, well, I will only love until I see a yellow light or until I see a red flag. And granted, you should slow down when these things happen. When you see a red flag, you should definitely take inventory with yourself about what that red flag is. Sometimes that red flag is this person is going to make you work. Are you ready to do that work? Do you want to do that work with this person, or would you prefer to do it alone by yourself? Sometimes that red flag is this person is crazy, which is dismissive. So you have to be able to find that place that says, am I able to, deal with this person in this place? Am I ready for that? Do I want to take on that challenge? Do I want to take on that type of interaction right now? And the red flag is the interaction toxic? Is it toxic? Does it move me into a place of fear? If it moves you to a place of fear, moves you to a place of negativity, then that is a red flag you should definitely pay attention to. And that red flag is just usually an indicator to yourself that you should look deeper into what it is that you're actually looking for. Because you think you're just looking for love. Oh, love, it's just love. I'm looking for love. You can find love everywhere and anywhere. But finding people who can actually express it, who can live it, who can bring the truth of love to the experience they have with you is more rare. And so this is where the interesting part happens. This is where stepping into your power becomes powerful. I'm not going to just put myself through a situation to put myself through it. There is absolutely no situation that I would harm or detriment myself just to be able to do that. But at the same time, you have to look and you have to say, okay, if what I feel is relevant, then what am I going to do as it relates to that relevance? So if I notice that there are different types of lovers. You have the martyr type of love. I'm going to love you till it hurts. Even if you stab me, you hit me, and you kick me, you punch me, you spit in my face, and you can't stand me, I'm still going to love you because that's how powerful I am. I'm just going to love you, right? So you have the martyr type of love, and we've all known those people. These are usually incidents that stem from some type of violence, and that type of violence just lets them know how much they love you, and they want to love you that much more. I've been through a situation like that, and I have to say, there is no more love on the other side. Don't stay for it. Don't wait for it. There is no more love on the other side of someone being abusive of any way. And then you look back and, you see the other people and they are, they have that type of victim love. They have that love of, why don't you love me the way I love you? Oh, woe is me, despair, bleeding heart. And, these people are trying to get you to love them in the way that they want to be loved. They're not satisfied with your love as it is. They want to control your love to them. They want to control their love experience, which comes from fear. They are very afraid of allowing. They are very afraid of letting go. They are very afraid of forgiving. Somewhere in their mind, they think that you think that they are your sucker. So they don't want to be a sucker. They don't want to be the person who got. They don't want to be the person that got gypped. So what do? They perform cautionary love. And performing cautionary love is irrelevant at that place because you're doing the same thing. You're gypping that person. If you're being cautionary, you're gypping that person of the full experience of love. So let's just say that the two of you are not compatible, or that you have to let go, or maybe you should spend some time alone, or maybe there's another type of love relationship that would be more compatible and more in alignment. And then lastly, we have the trickster type of love. These are the three common ones. It's not that there are more types, but these are the three common ones. And so we have this trickster love. And this trickster love is, I'm going to give you all the love I have until you hurt me. Then I'm going to snatch it from underneath your feet like a rug. And I'm going to go over there and give it to them so that you can see that I gave it to them and that you're missing out on something. And so how unfair is that? It's never about the second person. The second person is just a pawn to this idea with the first person. So all you're trying to do is date a second person to make the first person mad. So why did the second person deserve that? Maybe they should see a red flag. Maybe they should feel, some type of way. So why does that person deserve you only being loving to them as a demonstrative dagger to the person you were just with. And this happens so often. I can't count how many times I've been through it or I've done it. It happens so often. And the beautiful part is that you're able to become conscious and come around on the other side and say, you know, that's just immature and that's not working for me. That's toxic to me and my system and my practice. So I have to keep practicing. I have to push forward. So the only time that fear and love can exist in the same space is when you begin to love what you fear. And then it's still just love. So if I'm afraid of having my heart be open and people stepping on me, right? Which, you know, technically I wouldn't say afraid, but I can say that's one of the things nobody really wants to feel. I don't want to feel that. So if I say I'm afraid of it, and let's just say I am, let's say I acknowledge I'm afraid of that. I'm afraid of being stepped on. Then that means that I have to really develop my discernment. I have to really listen to my intuition because it's going to give me grace in those situations where normally I would just delve into it and think, oh, I can handle it. I can do this. But what it's actually doing is giving me an indicator. And it's actually saying, hey, Stacy, you know what? Let me talk to you right quick over here, right over here, right quick. You know, and so I go over there and I become the observer of the situation. I'm looking at the situation. I'm going, man. Yeah, I don't think I want that. I don't think I want to be a part of that. I don't think that's good for me. What do you think? You know, so you're having this dialogue, this internal dialogue with your intuition. And your intuition is not bossing you and saying, hey, just do it or don't do it. But there's actually an opportunity to observe it for yourself after listening to your intuition, you know, and looking at it for what it is and saying, this person is in a position to hurt me. So that I don't repeat that, I don't hurt them and I don't hurt myself. What I can do is I can exit or release or give space to whatever the situation is. I can also transform it. If I have the right amount of discernment, if I have the right amount of grace, if I have developed in this way, I can actually come in a situation and say, I understand what's happening. I understand that you may be a bit, you know, put off by the strength of what could happen between us or what's going on between us. And I prefer if you just consider that for a moment, instead of considering the bad that can happen, consider the good that's already happening. And a lot of people would say, oh, that's BS. I'm not trying to hear that. But at the end of the day, you have to look at it as, what is your role? Are you going to be the transformer? Are you going to be the person to run and keep running and keep running and keep running? Are you going to be the person to sit in it and observe and experience and then at the proper time release it or at the proper time reconvene? What are you going to do? And you have to ask yourself, who are you in the face of love? It's not about other people. It's not about what people do to you. It's not about what people think of you. And it's also not about what those other voices say to you. It's about your voice and listening to your voice and your truth. Your soul wants something that you may not understand yet. If it wants recognition, it can get recognition. If it wants attention, it can get attention. If it wants completion, it can get completion. If it wants to feel supported, it can get support. If it wants to surrender, it can surrender. But you don't have to do this to the point of damaging yourself. You only have to do this to the point of provoking yourself to walk into an experience that you normally would not walk into and see what's on the other side. And that's all I'm encouraging everyone to do here today. Deal with the hurt, deal with the pain in the process. This is your on-the-job training. So as you're going through it, deal with the hurt then. Don't push the hurt down, repress it, and then you have to come back to the hurt in yet another relationship. Go through that stuff now. You don't want to go through that again. You don't want to have to go through that 3, 4, 5, 10 people down the line. We've all been there, done that, right? We can all look at our patterns in retrospect and say, oh, I did that for 700 relationships. You know, you don't want to keep pushing that, especially if you're looking to, you know, settle yourself in a truth. If you're looking to live this life in the full capacity that your potential indicates. You don't want to keep wasting time on the same lesson. You don't want to keep going through drudgery and dragging your feet in the mud and kicking yourself in the process and getting yourself dirty in the process through that drudgery. And I know a lot of warrior lovers. I've been one. I have that in me still. I know a lot of people, we're warrior lovers. We're like, oh, you can't hurt me. Oh, you can't hit me. You can't fix me. I'm better than you. You know, they want to play chicken with their lover. They want to just keep pushing all the way to the end and say, you know, for as much as you want to hurt me, I'm better. I'm colder than you, you know, and that's that martyr type of love. Except for a martyr might do it a little more passively. But that warrior lover is going to say, I can take whatever you're giving me, baby, because you know what? I'm learning from it. And yes, that's true to an extent. But then at a certain vibration, a certain frequency, you realize that's not helping anybody's operation. It's not helping mine. It's not helping yours. We're not partners. We're not loving each other. We can't even separate without thinking about all that toxicity that we created. So this is just about finding your balance, finding your center, and finding that space where you can look at love and say, this is what love is. And you can look at fear and say, this is what fear is. And you can realize that some of your fears have come from the extremity of your love. That you feeling so deeply about love has put you in a situation that you don't want to look at fear as being balanced to that love. You think that everything when you're experiencing love, you think everything is perfect and sweet and beautiful. You don't realize that sometimes that fear pushes you into a deeper state of love. And that sometimes that fear has to get higher and louder before you actually do something and surrender to it and say, you know what? I'm going to move through this. I'm going to push right through this. It might not be graceful. I'm going to push right through this so that I can get back to understanding more about love that I wouldn't have understood if I never touched that fear. So I encourage all of you to be very, very, very mindful of this practice and to look at your life as this continuum of events that allow you to see what those factors are that keep you stuck and paralyzed in that fear and stop you from standing in love in the face of what it is that you've asked for, in the face of what it is your soul wants, in the face of what it is that you know in your heart you deserve. So just take that into meditation, if you will. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Stacy Patrice. Check us out, stacypatrice.com. We have great things coming for you. And keep in mind that whatever it is, as the Buddha says, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone, and you are the one who gets burned. And I just want you to think about that, because that phrase has been on me for the last week in different situations I've been through and, different things that I've talked with people about. It's just the same as don't cut off your nose and spite your face. Your face needs your nose. It's there for a reason. And to cut it off to make someone else say, nah, I cut off my nose, and that way I can't smell you. It just doesn't make any sense. So let's stop doing that. Let's move to a different station. And if you have any questions, any comments, place them below on YouTube underneath this video. Send me a private message at stacypatrice.com. Or at the end of the day, just live your truth. All right? Thank you so much for listening. Peace. Namaste. Love you. Peace. Next time.